There's one particular attorney general who built her entire career accusing others of fraud, who then gets caught in her own tangled web of lies. That's right, New York Attorney General Letitia James just went on Pod Save America and told a story so misleading, so provably false, that she may just have created brand new evidence for the Department of Justice to use against her. And the best part is, the receipts are her own documents. Welcome to Nellie Miranda. And before we get into this video, please make sure you like and subscribe, as it really helps to support the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Okay, so here's the setup. Letitia James is under investigation for mortgage fraud tied to a home that she helped purchase in Virginia last year. Well, I guess going on 2 years, because it was in August 2023. So the allegations are that she lied on loan documents claiming it would be her primary residence when it clearly wasn't. But instead of staying silent while under DOJ investigation, James went on Pod Save America, a left-wing podcast, and gave an answer that's now blowing up in her face. Here's what she said.
There's a house in Virginia that I purchased that I was a co-signer with for my niece. My niece's children, and I wanted to have her home. Mm-hmm. And so I co-signed the home. When I signed the power of attorney, I did it electronically. I wanted my niece to basically sign for me at the closing. At the bottom of the power of attorney, it indicated that I was a resident of Virginia. Prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker in caps, all caps, I am not a resident of Virginia.
You're Tish from Brooklyn.
I'm Tish from Brooklyn, period. And in the mortgage documents, it indicates whether or not you plan on being a resident of Virginia, and I marked no, no, no. But of course, those were not publicly available. The only public document that's available is the power of attorney, which was not a basis for the mortgage.
That's her defense. That she just signed electronically and that it wasn't really her saying it was going to be her primary residence. But here's the problem. That's a lie. And the proof is in the paperwork that she signed herself. I'm going to play a clip from Sam Antar. Then we're going to get into the timeline.
First of all, let's break it down. She signed a power of attorney under oath stating that she was going to be a resident of Virginia, right? She said she signed it electronically, but it was signed with her own handwriting. She says that that declaration was at the bottom of the page, like, easy to overlook. It was in the center of the page in caps.
Right.
She says it was an accident, but her first deputy attorney general, her and another person from her office, as they were preparing for the Trump trial for mortgage fraud, that's when they signed it. It was signed about 20 or 30 days
They were all
before
there. You're saying, and I read the article that you put out about this here, they were the witnesses to the actual signing.
That is correct. Now, she says that, it wasn't, the bank didn't need it, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, signing a false document to a federal lender is illegal under U.S. Statute 1014, period.
So let's walk through the timeline real quick. So on August 3rd, 2023, Letitia James told her mortgage broker via email that the property is not her primary residence. You see, she wrote will not in caps. She says, this property will not be my primary residence. It will be Shamice's primary residence. Okay. Then on August 17th, 2023, she signs a power of attorney, a form saying that the property will be her primary residence. That document is filed in the county records office and it's notarized. And guess what? She signed it in front of her own employees at the New York Attorney General's office. As you can see, these signatures are from Jennifer Levy, First Deputy Attorney General, and Sharona Parchment, the AG office staff. So no, this wasn't some passive, blind e-signatures that she didn't understand. This was a deliberate declaration under penalty of perjury. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, and so it's just a house, what's the big deal? Well, here's why that matters. This isn't just about a home loan. It's about a fraudulent misrepresentation on federal mortgage documents. And it's exactly the kind of cases that Letitia James has been prosecuting others for time and time again. Because remember, she went after Donald Trump and his family for misleading banks, for inflating assets, for so-called false statements. Well, guess what? Declaring a property to be your primary residence just to get a better loan terms is fraud, period. And when she went on national media and gave a fake version of events to spin public opinion, she may have added obstruction of justice to her list of liabilities. She just keeps going on these little podcasts, giving speeches about the case. Like, yes, she's a lawyer, so maybe she knows what she's doing better than I do. But if I was her, I wouldn't say a peep. She should have kept her original statement that these allegations into me are baseless. Trump is on a revenge tour, and left it at that. When she got on stage and said this, I was shook. There is no way that this was an overlooked mistake, and she knows it. Her voice was calmer than usual, eyes blinking 100 times per minute, and dang near stuttering.
This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be.
Now, here's where it gets even worse for her. Her attorney tried to clean it up by saying that she made a mistake and never intended to make it her primary residence. And yeah, I don't think she intended to make Virginia her residence. That's a duh. That's not the argument here. The argument is that she lied, saying she would make it her primary residence in order to get favorable loan terms. That's the issue. But what really frustrates me is, okay, so she sent that email and the mortgage broker said, oh, okay, it's not going to be your home. And then they didn't just throw it out altogether and start over. She's wrong, they're wrong, both parties are wrong. Anyways, like I was saying, the email that her lawyer used to back up that claim, it was sent before she signed the official form declaring otherwise. So I told him it wasn't going to be my primary home defense, it just doesn't hold water, because what matters is that she signed under oath. And unlike Trump's valuations, which were clearly labeled as opinions, Letitia James made a black and white claim. She said, this is my primary residence. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a lie. So back in April, the Federal Housing Finance Agency referred her case to the DOJ, and multiple outlets have now confirmed that an FBI investigation is underway. So let me ask you something. If this were a Republican AG caught signing false mortgage forms, lying about it on a podcast, and getting caught by her own time-stamped email trail, how fast would MSNBC be calling for their resignation? How fast would CNN be screaming criminal conspiracy? They'd be breaking in with special coverage every night. But because it's Letitia James, the media is silent. Wrong is wrong and fraud is fraud. And this is what drives people crazy about the left, because Democrats scream about accountability until it's one of their own. They weaponize the law to go after Trump. And now, when one of their top legal generals is caught red-handed, they treat it like it's a typo, an honest mistake. To put it simply, if Letitia James does not face real legal consequences, the rule of law is dead in New York. Because you cannot claim to be America's watchdog while you're falsifying documents behind closed doors. Here are the possibilities of where this could go. A perjury charge, because she signed a legal document that directly contradicts what she said publicly. Obstruction of justice, because she knowingly misled the public during an open investigation. All these little interviews that she keep doing, partially admitting the fraud, but also claiming it a mistake. A FIREA civil action. That's the Financial Institutions Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act. And it is how the feds recover damages in mortgage fraud cases. And let me remind you, this isn't speculation. These are her own documents, her own signatures, her own timeline. This is checkmate. In United States versus Muhammad, the Department of Justice successfully convicted a defendant under 18 U.S. Code 1014 for submitting false occupancy declarations on FHA loans and never moving into the properties. Muhammad stated that she didn't know that by signing the documents, she was in the wrong. She didn't think that her not living there was not a big deal. Now, mind you, this was someone who was essentially part of a loan housing scam. She wasn't the brains behind the scam. She was not a knowledgeable person on the topic. But James, her case is dramatically stronger than Muhammad's in every respect. She has written confession of intent, whereas Muhammad relied on circumstantial evidence. James provided direct proof with her August 2nd email stating that the home will not be her primary residence. Also, 2 New York Attorney General employees witnessed James' false declaration and signed off on it. James also holds the state's highest law enforcement positions. There's no way that this was a clerical error by a long shot. James had contradicting documents. After sending an email stating it would not be her primary residence, 15 days later, she made an opposing statement by signing that it would be her primary residence. She thought she was playing chess, but in fact, she was playing checkers. Letitia James has spent the last 5 years lecturing America about integrity, justice, transparency, democracy, and everything else under the sun. But when she thought that no one was watching, she did exactly what she accused others of doing and then lied to cover it up. It is time to hold her accountable, not just politically, but legally. So let me ask you this. Should Letitia James resign over this? And if this were a Republican AG, what do you think the media would be saying? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if honest commentary brings you value, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps support the channel. And tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.